What happens when you put $50,000 into 10 different YMAX funds? In this video, we are going to find that out. We're going to dive into it and see what happens when we put $50,000 into 10 select YMAX funds. We're going to see which one gives us the best ROI using current day's price as well as the last 5 months of their dividend payments. Dividend payments are based on data pulled from the NASDAQ website. So we are going to dig into this and we will find out the solution on which one would have given us the best results over the last 5 months if we would have had $50,000 invested. And if you like this content, make sure you help me out by leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let's dive right in. Okay, our first one we're looking at, we're using our Excel files for these comparisons. Let's look at Coney. That's the one that follows Coinbase, C-O-N-Y. We have $50,000 invested. Current price, $12.05 per share. That would earn us 4,149 shares and 38% of a fractional share. So like I said, we are looking at our last 5 months of payment. In column F, you can see the dividends per share. They had some nice payouts there in November, dropped a little in January, but came back up in February. And all in all, we would collect $26,359 in just 5 months of investing in CONY with $50,000. So right there, that's over a 50% return. So Coney comes out of the gate, takes a big lead on the competitors. Let's see what happens next. In my eyes, the riskiest of the funds, but again, we are only focused on returns. MSTY following MSTR, $50,000 invested at $26.73 a share. That would earn you 1,870 shares. And looking at our last 5 months of payments, those dividends per share payouts are pretty juicy. We are getting $29,619.90 in 5 months. So right now, MSTY just passed Coney by, highest yielder, and I think a lot of people are very familiar with this fund because of the huge dividend payouts. I mean, let's look at October and November there. $4 per share gives them a huge advantage. You see it's dropping down. Well, curious if that maintains, but again, just looking at this small sample size, MSTY is truly dominating right now. $29,000 with only $50,000 invested. I mean, you're going to make your money back in literally 10 months. That's pretty incredible. This next one, a lot of people I really don't see talking about too much. JPMO following JP Morgan. $50,000 invested at a cost per share, $19.18. That gets you 2,606 shares. And again, we're looking at our last 5 months of payments. Look at those dividend pays, much smaller. But I will note, look at that. We are growing in them in the 30s. And then at the end of January, we got a 69-cent payout. But again, 5 months, we're seeing $5,318 collected, almost a fifth of what we were collecting in MSTY and Coney. But again, taking those out of the picture, this is still a 10% return on investment in 5 months. I feel like people are overlooking that high-yielding dividend funds before YMAX came into the picture was 10%. And then they see these gains and they're like, that's nothing. So in my opinion, JP Morgan, more consistent, and you're going to keep reaping the benefits of this dividend. The stock price has stayed much flatter than the other ones. So again, this is just my opinion. I think this is a more consistent one, but for this video, we are just comparing the big yielders. So other than that, let's move to the next one. Moving on to AMZY following Amazon. Honestly, Amazon's one of my favorite companies, so AMZY is one that I definitely like to have in the portfolio. But again, same as the others, $50,000 invested. Current cost per share is $19.30. That gives us $2,590, or 2,590 shares, I apologize. Looking at the last 5 months here, we would collect $9,986.53. So, again, dividend yields, we have kind of an anomaly there in November. $1.17 a share, then it drops down to 86, and then the whole way down to 40 cents per share in January. Seems a little risky that we're losing, 50% there between months, but at current juncture, you would have made back about 20% of your initial investment of $50,000, and in a 5-month span. Again, you used to hope for that in a year, and now you could see that in 5 months. So, you could hope for the 10% in a year, you get 20%, and you're seeing that in 5 months. So, again, another great fund. I like Amazon. The way these funds are set up, it seems like they're participating only half in the upside and fully in the downside. So these dividends are decreasing, but again, in comparison, $50,000, you are bringing back almost $10,000 collected for cash to generate that you can do with whatever you like. Okay, moving into APLY, Mirror Apple, $50,000, $16.33 per share. That gets you 3,061 shares. And looking at the last 5 months of payments, we are collecting $5,620 total. Again, right around a 10% yield. I love that. But in comparison, their dividend payouts are much smaller than the big dogs like MSTY, Coney, where you're seeing $2, $3, $4 payouts. You're getting 40 cents here, which, again, getting that per month is pretty good. It's just fantastic in my opinion. And so this isn't going to win today's competition by any means. But again, I like APLY. I like AMZY. Those are ones that I'm good with owning, even though their dividend yields are not quite at the level of MSTR and CONY. And moving on to my personal favorite one, ULTY, Ultra Income Fund. I love the way this is set up. Selling options. I'm an option seller, so I love the way this one's set up. This is my personal favorite, and I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying it does anything better than the others, but it's my personal favorite. So we're looking at $50,000 invested, $8.14 per share, 6,142 shares. It collects you 5 months of payments. You are going to collect $21,348, right around 45% collected in that 5-month span. So you almost have already made your money back. And I love ULTY. I not only own shares, but I sell puts on it as well to collect an even greater premium. So this stock, in my opinion, you see it's dropping around $8. The price per share has been decreasing significantly, and that's alarming to an extent, but curious what happens over the next 5 months as well in the future if we maintain this decrease or if we flatten out. And when you are reaping these high yields, flatten out stock price is beautiful. I mean, that's just beautiful, collecting the same value and then making your money back on the payouts. So again, it's not going to win the competition today, but I highly recommend, again, not financial advice, just my opinion, you look into ULTY and perhaps add it to your portfolio. Like I said, I like it. It's in mine, and I play it in a couple different ways. Next, on to NVDY, following NVIDIA. And NVIDIA is the big dog in the stock market, AI, chips, GPUs. But let's look at NVDY, how they're doing. $50,000 invested, $20.29 per share. That gets us 2,464 shares. Looking at our last 5 months of payments, we would collect $11,742. So again, that's over 20% return. And some people are going to look at this and say, oh man, look at those returns, barely over $1 and then dropping well below it. Again, in terms of your initial investment, you'd be just about pulling 20% back already. And like I said, following NVIDIA, I think NVIDIA still has tremendous upside. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm honestly seeing another run-up, another split down, and just continually accumulating those shares in the chip market until a competitor can come in and meet that gap, which I don't think they will. I think competitors are going to focus more on trying to meet the mass rather than the large high-level GPUs needed for industrials and things like that, like an Amazon or an Apple, things like that. But yeah, so NVIDIA not going to win this competition today. But again, I like the overlying stock, and I don't own any NVDY yet. But it is one that I have a purchase price in for $19. So if it hits down there, I will get some. Okay, we are moving on to YMAG, and I own, or the Magnificent 7 follower. So I have I think under 100 shares of these. I don't have very many yet. I am accumulating, but I have a strategy that I'll talk about in a little bit here. But YMAG, paying weekly. Let's get into that comparison. Is getting a weekly paycheck better than getting one once a month in terms of dividend payout ratio? So let's look at this $50,000 invested, $18.07 per share. That gets us $2,767 shares. Look at that payout ratio, and we would collect $8,946.04. And again, that's a pretty good return. It's under 20%, so it is not competing with some of the big dogs in this video, but a weekly payout. The thing about YMAG is it seems like once a month they get one really bad return. So this month we saw that 5%. Back in October you saw that 5%. And it seems like, or 5 cents per share, it seems like they always have that, which really brings down their monthly average. If they would stay more consistent on their 4 payments in the month, I really think YMAG could just be up there with the big dogs. Not quite MSTR or Coney, but the tier below them. But again, this kind of puts into perspective of, are you okay with collecting that weekly paycheck, getting significantly less over getting a monthly one that's going to pay you out more, higher dividend yield? So let's just see a visual example here on what that difference is. Okay, moving over to YMAX, and I have 425 shares in my current portfolio, and I'm going to add another 75 this week using margin, because you know what, I want to get that 500, and hoping for a nice yield this week. We got 19 cents per share last week. That's pretty good. Get that with 500 shares, I'll be pretty happy. It's almost $100 in a week. But nonetheless, let's look at that. $50,000, $16.44 a share, gets us 3,041 shares. And look at those dividend payouts. They don't have that one payout per month like YMAG that's 5 cents, 4 cents. Like, it just doesn't have that huge drop off. And let's look down here. We would collect $10,795, which gets us over that 20% in a 5-month span, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. Again, you're trying to get that over a 2-year span just last year. Now we're trying to get that in 5 months. Incredible. So again, but this provides a visual example. If I would have invested the same amount, that $8,000, that gets me the 425 shares of YMAG that I currently have, or YMAX that I currently have, and if I would have invested that in an MSTR, I would have almost tripled my return in terms of how much I've received. Now, obviously, prices have decreased, so 3 months of that same time of buying, I would not get the same value. But that's okay. I like YMAX, and I like owning. I don't think it competes with selling options. I don't think any of these do, because, again, I'm not committed to anything when I sell options, but I do like collecting these weekly dividends or high-yielding dividends for the time being. And I'm currently even on YMAX, meaning my cost average and what I've collected so far in dividends since owning, I'm even. Actually, I'm a little bit up. So anything collected from here on out is a profit, assuming the stock price doesn't just plummet. But you know what? We'll see this upcoming week, but nice visual example of YMAX. Okay, jumping into Tesla, or following the overlying Tesla. I do love Tesla. But for Tesla, I don't own any shares in the portfolio yet, but I'm hoping to get some soon. So $50,000 invested, $12.19 a share, gets us 4,101 shares. Look at those dividend payouts, pretty consistent outside of October and January. See those where we got a 60-cent per share and a 72% share in comparison to those well over $1 per shares. But nonetheless, let's look at our cash collected in 5 months. We would have $20,169, which, again, that's about 40% collected in 5 months. That's incredible. Love the payout. I love the overlying company in Tesla. The only reason I don't have more invested or any invested into Tesla is I started with YMAX. And like I said, my strategy is to get 500 shares of that and then move on to ULTY. I would like to get 500 shares of that. And then I would like to get 500 shares of YMAG. Then I'm going to start dispersing a little bit more throughout all these other ones. But that's been my strategy. And as we can see from this comparison and portfolio, it's probably not the best strategy, but it's the current one I have, and I like approaching that method. And the other reason I'm doing this video is it's kind of allowing people to see, oh, you know what, maybe getting the weekly payments isn't the best move, or maybe, you know, for whatever reason, this stock is a better play for me, or things like that. So it's a nice comparison, this video, and just doing the research for it, it kind of opened my eyes on how much more money I could have collected had I taken a little bit bigger risk, or you know, maybe made some different moves or diversified a little bit better. Nonetheless, you know, it's a fun video, and Tesla, it's going to be in the top, but it's not going to be up at the top. So again, great start for them, but we're still diving into it. Okay, this video was a ton of fun to make. A lot of research to kind of dive into and pull the dividend payouts from the NASDAQ. So if you would, give me a like, comment, subscribe, help the channel grow, and we can all grow together. Like I said, this video, the whole purpose of it, just to provide a little bit of research, a quick high-level overview of the differences in these funds. And if you like this video and you want me to do a comparison of another select YMAX funds, let me know. I'd be happy to do it. We can compare the Round Hill ones. I can throw in their selling options as a comparison over a 5-month span. So again, a lot of fun, a lot of research went into it. But to recap, $50,000 invested based on the last 5 months. MSTY, that's monitoring MSTR, blows everybody away, gets a $29,000 payout from that $50,000 in just 5 months. And in second place was Coney with $26,000. And those two truly had the top level of yields. Again, this is a 5-month span. It could have been completely different over a year. I would like to do this comparison again in a few months, see where we're at. But right now, we are sitting at the top with MSTR, MSTY, and CONY. And those two just kind of had much higher yields, and both of them had a month or two where they had an anomaly in their yield that kind of skewed in their favor. And that's why when we do a larger term in the future, a larger time frame, I think it might even things. It's weird to say that a company that can yield you 10% in just 5 months is last place. But for this video, they are. JP Morgan yielding you $5,318 and a $50,000 investment in 5 months is actually last place. But, you know, again, last place in the Olympics is still better than the entire rest of the world. So again, at one point we were trying to earn 10% on high dividend yields in a year, and right here you can get it in 5 months. So again, there are really no losers at this point in terms of investing that $50,000 for the past 5 months. But I will say this, and I say in all my YouTube videos, I will always preface selling options. I don't like to have that commitment of putting a ton of money into one stock. But like I said, I am okay with accumulating around 500 shares of each one of these over time. I'm going to enable margins on the one account so I can get my 500 shares of YMAX. But again, if you like this video and you enjoyed this content, you want to see some other comparisons, let me know in the comments. And like I said, help me out. I'm trying to grow too. please subscribe, like, and comment. And also, as I've said in other videos, I am doing three $100 giveaways for 1,500 subscribers. Make sure you are subscribed, bell notifications on, and you're commenting on all the videos so you can be eligible to get entry into that 1,500 subscriber giveaway. But again, I really appreciate everyone, and let's all grow together, because in 2025, this is the year we achieve our financial freedom and we get to step away from that 9 to 5. So let's invest, grow together, and I'll see you in the next one.